Hi everyone. So slight change in scenery today. We are in my bedroom right now. We are going to be playing a little bit of planty chore catch-up, if you will, today. I have quite a few plants that need to be potted up. Now, if you will recall, when the flat mite incident happened a little over a month ago now, I believe, I threw a ton of propagations away because they were up by the cyclamen that had the flat mites and I just didn't want to risk it. But there were some that were in other areas that are now ready to be potted up, and there were some up there that I did not want to throw away. Like this very beautiful Monstera albo that I had decided I was going to keep for myself, and it didn't seem, I found one flat mite on this leaf at that point in time. I've kept a close eye on it since then. I did release the beneficial bugs. It got its own sachet and everything. I have not seen any flat mites, so I think we're okay to pot this up. But yeah, we just have a few that need to be potted up. We have a few plants, well, I got a lot of plants that need to be repotted actually, but there are two or three, I think it's three in particular, which just made me realize I didn't get enough pots, but I will fix that here in a bit. But yeah, three in particular that are pretty bad off that I want to get repotted up into a bigger pot today, hopefully, if we have time. And there are a couple of plants around here that need a trim down again, so we're probably going to be doing a little bit of propagating as well, assuming we have time. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. We are filming in here today instead of me standing in my kitchen because I know some of you have been asking, you said it would be easier to see on a white background what I was doing when I do these kinds of videos. If you see these lovely trash bags I've laid out here, I ordered a repotting mat. It was supposed to be here by now. It's not. And this table that we're using is one of the tables that I take to my rare plant pop-up shops locally, and it has gotten just filthy stained over the course of the past year from doing that. I tried to clean it earlier. It wasn't coming off, and it would have been distracting for you to be looking at all of those stains. So that's why we have the makeshift potting mat with just garbage bags today. But I think we will go ahead and we will start with this gorgeous Monstera albo. Now, you guys, this plant was victim of the fertilizer burn situation, and then it sat in water doing like absolutely nothing for the longest time, you guys. It did have a very long aerial root that I did not put it directly into the water because it was longer. I'm just realizing I'm gonna need to go rinse the bottom of this stem off here in a second, but the aerial root was, the stem was longer. There was more nodes than what you're gonna see when I pull it out, but they weren't getting any roots. So about maybe a month ago, I decided to cut the lower part of the stem off so I could get the aerial root into the water. And we finally started getting roots, not only from the aerial root, which hopefully you can see right here. This was the aerial root. Got that into the water, and you can see it started popping off the side here. This is not like really ideal either, you guys, because this part of the root up here is now like, I don't know how to explain this. It's woodier, right? It's almost more like a stem, a branch, whatever you want to say, however you want to think about it. And because of that, it's just not really suited to growing in water. Like, you're running a bigger risk of, like, in my experience at least, this starting to rot. If you catch the aerial roots when they first start to come out, when they're still nice and white before they get woody like this, and you put them into water, that's fine. That's no problem. That's just becoming a regular root at that point. But once you get to this point, it gets a little bit trickier. So, but it's good that this happened because I think the hormones that were coming off of this are what finally spurred this node to start pushing out a root here. But as you can see, these down here have done absolutely nothing, and there was this much more below this that was doing nothing. So that's why I cut that off. But I did notice there's a lot of icky stuff that was floating around the bottom of this. So I'm gonna go rinse this off real quick and I will be right back. Okay, I got this rinsed off. This does have me slightly concerned down here. I hope you guys can see. This looks like the bottom part where I cut this off might have rotted a little bit, possibly. But sometimes this just happens, like some of the end of the stem kind of like still flakes off, if you will. I don't think there's actual like rot going on because the roots look so white and healthy. And lots of times if your stem starts to rot in water, the roots will rot real quick, you guys. They'll go from looking nice and bright and white like this to like brown, like root rot real quick. So I think we're okay. And I am going to be taking this into leca today. So I I'm not too worried about it. What I'm going to do when I take plants like this into leca, I don't like to put them in nutrient solution right away. I like to do just regular water for like a week or so, since that's what they're used to being in while they kind of get used to the leca. And what I will do is I will drop a little bit of hydrogen peroxide in that water, and that should help kill off anything that's going on here. And I just want to make sure that when I am filling up my reservoir, because what I'm going to do is a drainage submersion situation. I'll remind you what that is here in a bit, but I want to make sure that the water line isn't actually covering this. Obviously, I don't want to put any of this super deep in the leca period, but I think it'll be okay because that'll give it some time to kind of like dry out and recallus a bit. I do think this leaf is turning kind of yellow. Normally I wouldn't, because it's still green enough, I wouldn't want to take it off completely because, you know, you want to still have as much photosynthesis ability as you can, but because it is down near that situation, and I'm going to go ahead and take it off, because what's going to happen is when this were to completely die off, if I already had this buried in the leca, then now I have this situation where if I cut this off higher up above the leca, this part that's remaining would be down in there next to where this might already be having a slight issue. And then that's going to potentially start to rot, and I don't want that. So we're just going to take that right off of there. That is fine. And this did just recently, I hope you guys can see, push out this new leaf. It's not even completely hardened off yet, but look at the coloring on this. I mean, you guys, look at it. I hope the lighting's okay. It looks a little bit blown out to me, but hopefully it is all right for you guys. This is just such a beautifully variegated Monstera albo that is why I decided I wanted to keep it. Hopefully you can see here, like all that candy cane kind of striping going on down there. Like, oh, it's gorgeous. Okay. Which container? I think I got this one to use. And some of you guys have been asking me more so lately. I think we've been getting a lot of new people to the channel about my clear pots. Just to be clear, no pun intended with you guys, most of the pots that I'm using are food containers. This is a Starbucks cup. We've got like a McDonald's cup from when my parents were here that my mom had, I think she had gotten a drink on her way up here or something. And then the ones that you see that aren't obviously like food containers are cups. I'll grab one in a bit to show you. They're actually pot liners. And pot liners you can buy pretty much at any garden center or like Home Depot or Lowe's. They don't have drainage holes in the bottoms, but I just use a soldering iron to poke holes in the bottom of any of my makeshift pots, if you will, that don't have drainage. Okay, I do have my pre-soaked leca here. So this has been soaking for, well, honestly, I think it's been soaking for a week because I kept getting behind on what I was filming when. So this has been pre-soaked though. So I'm going to go ahead and just, leca's going to go everywhere too because that's just always what happens. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit down in the bottom here. I want to go into too large of a vessel just because we don't have like a ton of roots. And I don't know, I mean, you guys, I keep questioning, but part of me is like, I probably should just cut this off. I'm worried this is going to start, the woody part is going to get funky in the leca. I mean, if it does later on, I can take it out, cut it off, but it's just so much root right now that I don't want to like remove it all. Now, my bigger concern right now is if that stem is going to be an issue. Let me go grab my snips. Okay, you guys, I got my snips because there's no way I'm gonna be able to get this root up here seated low enough in here without having this in the water reservoir. So we're gonna cut this at least up to this node. Now, normally when you're doing this, I would recommend you let it callus over before you pot it up, especially if you're going into soil. However, this is not a super crazy thick compared to some Monstera albos stem, so I'm not too concerned about it. And we're going into leca, so there's still going to be airflow and breathing room around it, so I think it'll be okay to go ahead and still pot it up right now. So we're just going to cut right there, and then that way I'm less concerned about this whole potentially being a rot situation, but I'm still going to drop a little bit of hydrogen peroxide in there at the same time regardless. Okay, so big question is, see, this is, we might just have to remove this one, you guys, because like I'm not going to be able to get that all the way in there anyway, as you can see, like because of how this is. All right, Another change in plans. We're going higher. It's a shame to lose that, but hopefully you guys get where I'm going with this. Like, there's no way I would have to get this stem so far down in there to get all of that in there. And like I said, it served its purpose. It got this node to start popping roots off, and we do have a new leaf, so I'm okay with this. And now I can set this nice and high where the leca at the top will dry out more quickly and sooner than the leca down below, and I won't really have to worry too much about any kind of rot situation because all of this looks super healthy, unlike some of the stuff we just cut off. So I think this is just the way to go. I'm just gonna start filling back in here. And you guys probably, if I recall correctly, are gonna be getting this video a little bit late because I had not been feeling very well this past week, and yeah, things got behind schedule. So my apologies that we're a little bit off schedule right now, but hopefully we will be getting, well, back on schedule and stay on schedule. I'm curious to know though, are you all on top of your chores right now? Like, this is all like stuff, well, except for this, but like a lot of the repotting stuff I need to do right now and things is stuff I should have done like started doing 3 months ago, and I have not, and now I'm gonna be scrambling to try to get it all done here in the next month or so because, like I said, some of my plants just desperately need it, and I will be releasing some videos upcoming on kind of more troubleshooting videos on like what's potentially wrong with my plant. And lots of times this time of year, what I discover with people is the plant needs to be repotted. That's a lot of what's going on. You're going to think something else is going on, like pests or whatever, because it's that time of year where pest activity tends to pick up a bit. But yeah, a lot of the times it's just you don't realize that your plant has just started growing so much more quickly by this point of the year. And it can go from being okay and not super root bound to like root bound pretty quickly, depending especially on the type of plant. Okay, so I am going to have to bury this just a little bit, obviously, especially if we want it to be stable, but it should be okay. Try and get it to stay upright. Sometimes with leca, you guys, you might find you need to put like a support stick. I usually just tape like a chopstick or something to the outside of the pot and then use some twine to tie it to the chopstick. You just need that until the roots really start to work their way around in there, and then they cling to the leca so tightly that it'll hold itself upright. But sometimes in the beginning, if you're having issues with it staying upright, that's why. Don't make the mistake of then being like, oh, I got to put this way further down in the leca so it'll stay upright. Because once again, if you put it too far down in there, it's potentially going to be that part of the stem is potentially going to be staying damp for too long, and you potentially will have a rot situation. So we don't want to go like super deep with the stem in leca. All right, I think that's pretty good. Okay, and then I got to figure out what I'm going to do for my cover pot, my reservoir, because a lot of the pots that I have available right now are not like waterproof, so they're not like glazed on the inside, so I can't use them as a water reservoir and a cover pot, pretty cover pot. I need to go pot shopping. That just sounded wrong. Anyways, I need to go buy some new planters for my plants, especially the ones that I'm putting into leca that will work as like a reservoir. But let's set this one aside over here. I do. Let me see if I have enough. I might have enough leca for this. I think I'm going to do that last though. Okay, so let me dry my hands off. I grabbed a towel while I was in the kitchen because did not bring one in here. This was ill prepared. Like, I think because I was filming in a different location, you guys, like I got all flustered. It took me way longer to set up to film today than usual, but like I like that I get to sit, I like the lighting, and I get to look at all the beautiful plants and the pool behind you guys while we're doing this today. Okay, we're going to move on now to some plants that we're going to pot up. Actually, do I want to do that one in leca? Actually, let's do one more leca plant first. So a while back, like a long while back, this looks like crap. So obviously this leaf is about to die off, but this is a cutting from my Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, and I'm talking months and months and months and months ago, you guys. I had given it a trim, and I got 3 cuttings out of it. 2 of them have been potted up for months and months and months. 1 of them I've already sold. One's still in my inventory to be sold, and then there was this one that was just sitting there doing absolutely nothing for the longest time. We do now have root growth. It's not a ton, honestly, but hopefully you guys can see right here, the new growth point has started to push a new leaf. That is part of the reason that this is dying off, or vice versa, because this is dying off, this is starting to push. Either way, I'm going to leave this here because it does still have a little bit of green on it while this pushes out, and I'm hoping now that we're going to get this out of water and we are going to put it into leca today, I'm hoping that that will kind of also help get it to push this out a little bit more quickly. The other ones that I potted up, I went straight to soil. I'm just gonna go ahead and get started on this while we talk about it. I got another little Starbucks cup here that I've added drainage holes to. So the other ones I potted up into soil, mine that I cut this off of is in soil, but I'm just curious to see how it does in leca, because mine is like, looking at it right now, and she's looking better actually. I think maybe we just had we had a couple mishaps. So you guys know fertilizer burn. We talked about that plant in the fertilizer burn video because it had the most obvious signs of fertilizer burn on its leaves compared to a lot of the other plants. However, if you're not following me on Instagram or Facebook at Aloha Plant Life, a while back I woke up to a crash and Theo had knocked the plant stand that plant is on over, broke the ceramic pot it was in. Like, I thought the plant, like some of the leaves were creased, so I was like, crap, well now those look like crap. But all in all, like no leaves broke off. Like I thought everything was gonna be okay. And then I woke up, no, I didn't even wake up the next morning. I went to bed that night and I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, like what the heck? Like it looked bruised and battered. Like that's the best way I can describe it. I've never seen a plant bruise like that. Like it was crazy. Anywhere a leaf had gotten even slightly bent, or it just turned like this brownish, like grayish looking color. And then of course it started to yellow around that. And I've lost a lot of the leaves, had to cut a lot of them off since then. You guys can see that there's still some yellowing and stuff going on from that. Like, oh my gosh, but there is new stuff going on too that looks fine. But yeah, I don't know. It was just stressing me out. And after the fertilizer burn, like I feel like my sense of watering with that plant got off. I don't know. Something's been like wonky with it. I checked the pH. The pH is fine. Like it's just been a little bit weird. And so I was like, I wonder how it would do in leca. So this is kind of an experiment for me. And depending on how it goes, maybe I will transfer mine that's in soil into leca at some point. All right. I gotta be really careful with the positioning on this one because I don't really want to bury that new growth point that's coming in. I also need to be kind of careful as I'm adding this in. There's cat fur. This is becoming a mix of cat fur and leca, but what you gonna do? I got 3 cats again, so there's cat fur everywhere. But yeah, I want to be careful not to accidentally like drop a big piece of leca right on that growth point and like break it or something. So I'm just gonna kind of gently maneuver the leca over to that side. I'm really just happy that this plant finally rooted. I mean, it was in the same jar with the 2 that had already rooted and been potted up, and this wasn't like the butt cut. I think this was the mid cut. So I don't know. Plants are weird sometimes, you guys. Like, who knows why it just sat there while its friends rooted and did nothing. All right. Dropping leca everywhere. Okay. I think that will be good for that. Let's see. Up next, we have a Syngonium albo. I don't remember what happened with this one. This might have been related to the fertilizer burn too, but wasn't growing very well. Some of the roots just didn't look good. So I had unpotted it and put it into water, and you can see these are the older roots that were still there, and it has started to push off this new growth down here, which ideally I kind of like it better if it would start to push new growth from some of the nodes higher up, honestly, but Sometimes this is just what happens, especially with Syngonium, but since it is actively pushing new roots again, I figured we'd go ahead and try to pot it back up. So I think I got this pot for that. Dry my hands off at least so they don't keep getting more messy. And we're just going to use this same mix. Normally I would use for Syngonium, I prefer my forest floor mix just because I find Syngoniums like to retain a little bit more moisture. But this epiphyte mix will work too because they are epiphytes, hemiepiphytes technically. The only real difference is, you guys, like with Syngoniums, like you can put it, like I said, in epiphyte mix or like my forest floor mix. The only real difference is how frequently you're going to have to water it, basically. So 1 second, you guys. I guess an alarm is going off on my phone. Okay, sorry about that. So many alarms set because, like, I don't know about you guys. So much going on. Like I said, so much going on in my life. I have to set alarms to remember to take care of things. But that one was actually one I set for something last week. And I had to set it for, like, you know, set for every Sunday or whatever to make sure that it was going to come up on the day I needed it to. And then I didn't delete it after I did it. So that was reminding me to do something I've already done. All right. And this plant has also been in kind of an awkward situation by the sink. So that's why the leaves are kind of sticking out to the side like this. It was stretching for the light, but that won't be a problem now that we're getting this potted up. All right. And honestly, this might have been a slightly big pot to go into. No, that's a decent amount of rootage. All right, and I will go run and water these here in a second so they're not just sitting there too dry for too long. Let me move this out of the way. So yeah, the next two and final two things, maybe final two things, we'll see, that we need to pot up that are in water are these pearls in jade, so Epipremnum pearls in jade cuttings. And this was dragging the floor off my nightstand to the side of me, and hopefully you can see the holes in the leaf because the boys were chewing on the leaves before they would open. So that's part of the reason that had to get trimmed down. All right, let me just go get these watered down and then we will start in on these. Okay, those are watered down and good to go. So I'm just going into actually non-see-through pots for these. I have no problem like with Epipremnum, you guys. Well, no problem with Epipremnum aureums. My pinnatums, as we discussed in a recent video, drive me crazy because they just put out runners. But from a watering standpoint and root standpoint, I've never had a problem with having them in opaque pots. I know that they want to dry all the way out, and I mean, I let them dry all the way out. Like, I usually check the leaves. That's how I kind of handle them, you guys. So like, if the leaves start to not feel as firm, and I know it's been a while and the pot feels really light, and I'll look through the drainage holes and I'll say, hey, that looks pretty dry. And then if the leaves still feel firm, sometimes I'll wait a day or two. And if the leaves start to feel a little bit less firm, I don't want to let them get to drooping, but you'll be able to tell. Like if they start to feel a little bit less firm, then I'm like, all right, we're going to go in and we're going to water. Because I find that if you water even remotely too soon with Epipremnums, they tend to yellow up leaves and start dropping leaves, and then you get really like, what's going on? What did I do wrong? And really, and it won't kill the plant. Like the plant will be fine. Like the Epipremnums are pretty hardy plants, you guys. So they will bounce back from a lot of things. So if you water just a little bit too soon, like you're not going to end up in most situations with like root rot or anything like that. But really, they will kind of throw a little bit of a fit and start like dropping leaves in my experience. So I really just like to wait until I'm sure it's all the way dried out. Just gonna mix up the soil a little bit more here. All right, and I have no idea how many cuttings we have, so let's get them out and count first so we know how many we're gonna be putting in each pot. These actually rooted up super fast compared to normal. It's the time of year. It's warmer, they're getting more light where they're sitting in the kitchen, so they tend to root more quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's 8. So many. Okay, 1, oops. Well, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. We may be doing 3 pots of these actually. 23, so what do I have to math right now, you guys? So it'd be 7, close to 7 in each pot, right? Is that right? Am I mathing right? I can't math this late in the day. I'm better at math first thing in the morning. All right, so I think we're gonna do 3 pots of 7-ish, because that's not gonna be exactly 7 per pot, but that's kind of what we're going for. I usually do about 6 per pot anyway, so that will be fine. Once again, we're just gonna get a little bit of this started in the bottom here, and then we'll start positioning them in. And some of these don't have a ton of roots, but you can see it, these are starting to get roots and new growth points, so I'm fine with that. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, I kind of want to put 1 more in here in the middle to help fill it in some. This one is so awkward. Save that for the other one. Find a good one to put in the middle. There we go. I think that'll work. All right. Start filling it back in. I gotta be careful too, because sometimes these bigger pieces of bark can be such a pain in these small pots to get, especially to get kind of around in there. In other news, you guys, we are almost at 20,000 subscribers on the channel, which is awesome and totally like shocked me that we have really been growing that quickly this year. That's much more rapid growth than the channel saw last year. So super excited about that. I'm thinking about maybe doing like a giveaway type situation for when we hit 20,000, which will probably happen in the next 2 weeks, maybe less than that. I don't know. We're currently averaging, well, I guess maybe like 2 weeks, I think, because I think right now we're averaging approximately a little over 1,000 new subscribers per month last time I checked. So yeah, that is really cool. Welcome to anybody who is new. And yeah, so definitely thinking that maybe I want to do some sort of a giveaway for you guys. Not sure exactly what all that will include. Probably a plant. I actually have a friend that I used to work with who has a side hustle, which I think he's trying to make it his main hustle now, which would be awesome because he needs to get it out of that company. It was the company I got let go from like 1.5 years ago. And yeah, he's still there as far as I know, and yeah, that situation, like, everybody who's there needs to get out of there as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, he's really been kind of ramping it up, and he makes like candles and some other things. It's called, oh my god, I just had like almost a complete and total blank. Sawdust and Embers. I hope I said that right. Like, you know how it goes sometimes, you guys, you're like, you know something, but then when you go to say it, like, and it's in an important moment in a video like this, and then you start second guessing, like, if you have the name right completely, and you're like, oh, and then it's like, you end up saying something it's not. Sawdust and Embers, almost like 99.9% positive, just second guessing myself because that is how I am. But anyways, I was thinking about like reaching out to him too and seeing if maybe he wanted to include a candle or something. And with the giveaway too, I want it to be like, you know, a little sweet giveaway package, if you will, of things. So we'll see. But yeah, definitely excited about being at almost 20,000 subscribers. I do want to take the moment to remind you guys, if there are any video ideas or topics that you want me to do that I haven't done, drop a comment below and let me know. quick reminder though, if you ask me for a care guide and it's a plant that I haven't ever owned, I'm not going to do a care guide. You guys, like, I would feel like such a phony doing a care guide on a plant I haven't owned. And like, cause we've talked a lot about how a lot of the blogs you find on the internet and stuff with houseplant care are wildly inaccurate. And they don't talk about like how it could be different for you because you live somewhere wildly different from me, so our experiences could be different. And keep that in mind whenever you're watching my care guides. I try to do a good job of saying, unless you live somewhere like XYZ, then your care might be a little bit like this versus this. I try to do that, you guys, but just remember things are very conditional to your situation. So it's going to be a little bit it might need to be tweaked, right? So the general advice is good, but you may need to tweak it slightly for your specific conditions. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, if I haven't even attempted to own a plant myself, I'm not going to try and do a care guide on it. Sorry. I hope that doesn't offend anybody. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're already at 7. See, we might end up doing... Yeah, just put them all. Because I want it to look full. Like, I almost don't even like how not full that one we just did looked. Like, I kind of regret not putting another one in there. But this would probably be too many. I can always go get a smaller pile. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this one look how I want it to look, I think. And then whatever we have left, I think I'm going to go get like a 2-inch pot or a 3-inch pot. And we'll just put those in there so it won't look so, like, barren, if you will. This one is just driving me crazy. I want to cut it off because there's like a new growth point coming in right down in there, but it's just awkward. We'll put it in the other pot. Maybe we'll do this one. There, I think that'll work. I think that'll be good. But yeah, so that's my whole spiel on care guides. So don't get offended if I say I'm not going to do a care guide on something just because I haven't owned the plant. But I am still working, you guys, on the upcoming tissue culture video for you. I just have some questions that I cannot seem to find solid answers to. And so I'm like really, like I spent like 3 hours this morning trying to find answers to a few of the questions again. And it's like, no matter how I Google it, the thing is I think I don't know enough science-y terms for some of the things that I research to go onto like Google Scholar and find the answer. Because I know the answer has to be there. And then when you're just using layman terms on Google Scholar, like you don't get what you're looking for because you're looking for scientific papers and they're not using layman's terms. And if you just use layman terms on regular Google, then you just like Google gets confused and serves up all kinds of crap. And now that they've got it's anybody seen, they've got the AI now at the top of Google. When you do Google search, it gives you an AI result at the top, which drives me absolutely nuts because I don't trust it to be anywhere near accurate. And yeah, that is just like kind of annoying. And so then I have to scroll down further down and like try to find what I'm looking for. And then I don't know, it's just been a bit of a mess. Like there's one question in particular I really want answered. And I may just have to do the video and just tell you guys, look, I couldn't find a solid answer on this. I've seen some interviews with people and watched some videos where the answer is kind of implied, but I don't like implications. I like to give you guys solid facts. So I don't know. I'm not going to not do the video if I can't find it, which is kind of where my mind goes sometimes. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do this then because somebody's going to call me out on it. But, you know, we'll do our best. That should be coming up in the next few weeks. The alternatives to moss poles video that I keep mentioning to you guys, that one is going to be a little bit longer because I want the plants to get to where they're actually like attaching to the things that I'm using. So yeah, just bear with me on that one. It's going to take a little bit longer. All right, let me go find like a 3-inch, I think, pot for these last few cuttings. Okay, we got a little 3-inch pot. I'm also realizing this is kind of turned into not just a plant chores catch-up situation, but kind of like a repot and chat type video, but that's okay. Sometimes things just evolve into whatever they're going to evolve into. All right, I think this will work out. Let's see. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here. I think maybe, like I said, normally I do like 6 in a pot, but I think I'm just thinking about like my marble queen pothos, which has way bigger leaves. So 6 in a pot like looks really full, but with this plant, like that just wasn't looking as full as I would like it to. Honestly, this probably isn't gonna look as full as I would like it to, but oh well. It's not too bad, I guess. All right, get this filled in. How long have we been at this? My camera says we've been at this for an hour already, but I also had to pause to go water plants and things, but still, that's quite a bit of time there. I don't feel like I've been here talking with you guys for that long yet. Just trying to decide how much we're going to do today. All right, just about got this filled in. Looks pretty good to me. All right, I'm gonna go water these real quick, and then I'm gonna decide what else we potentially are going to be doing in this video. I don't really want it to be an insanely long video like the last Repot and Chat video I did, aptly titled Repotathon. All right, I'll be right back. Okay guys, so I think we might just do one more plant today. This is one of the pot liners that I was talking about that you guys keep thinking are like some kind of clear nursery pot, but it's just a pot liner, and as you can see, I have soldering ironed holes into the bottom of it. So grab this because I don't know if we have enough leca that's pre-soaked to do this, but we'll figure it out. I think I want to go ahead and pot up my Philodendron Columbia here. Now, a reminder, this plant did have spider mites when I received it. This is one of the plants that I had gotten off of the Palm Street app, which you guys, while I was not feeling well earlier this week, I sat there on the Palm Street app and ended up buying 3 more anthuriums that will be delivered, I think, either sometime this week or maybe the week after. So we'll be doing an unboxing video of that. I'm definitely entering my anthurium era. Like there's a bunch of other ones that I want to get as well. But yeah, and like I'd mentioned before, you guys, part of the reason I'm liking just kind of hanging out in there while I'm working and editing and doing other things is that I'm learning a lot of things about anthurium in some of these live plant sales on the app. So I highly recommend you guys sign up for the app, even if you're not interested in buying plants, like unless you think you're going to be one of those people where it's like a gambling addiction, then don't sign up. But if you can control yourself, I highly recommend signing up just to like sit in some of these lives and just learn things. I do have the link to sign up included in the description below for you. And if you are interested in buying plants, just a reminder, when you sign up with that link, you will get a $5 credit added to your account. But yeah, I've really been enjoying it. But this poor plant had spider mites and I wanted to put it into leca anyway. So I had unpotted it, got all the soil off everything. I've been like treating the leaves and everything. I have not really seen any sign of any more mites right now. But the roots have been in here for a while and they're done sloughing off. Like the roots that were soil roots that were going to die off have died off. Let me see if we can get this dead leaf off there. Is that a dead leaf? Oh, there's just some dead stuff that needs to be removed off of here. I don't know what that is. I think that is a dead leaf, but there we go. That's off. So yeah, I think the roots are looking pretty good. They're done sloughing off, like I was saying, and I haven't seen like a ton of new root growth, but it looks okay. Like I'm thinking we're okay to go ahead and take it into leca. There is some new root growth coming off the nodes up here at the top, so that's good. So that way, if any of these other older soil roots die off, like that will those have like replaced it already. And remember, when you go to leca, like some root die off is normal, so it's not like you have to automatically just assume if you see roots dying off that, oh my god, it's root rot or anything like that. So I think we're probably good to go. I'm just trying to get some more of this dead old leaf sheath off of there. This is like a cluster of plants. Can you guys see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I think it's 5 little plantlets in here. So I'm really hoping this plant does well. Like, so upset when it came in and I saw the bugs, which, like I said, I could have just trashed it, but I don't know, I wanted to try to rescue it because that's just how I am. So I think what we're going to do, hold on, I'm going to fold this just because I don't want to get, since this is going into leca, I don't want to get dirt like in the pot, you know what I mean? All right, so I don't think we're going to have enough, but I'll explain what we're going to do as we go along here. And here I am doing this whole like crossbody thing again. I just always, like I said, I'm always worried I'm blocking your view from the camera. All right, this is kind of, normally I would like to go into a slightly, I mean, I don't have to go, I don't know, I'm weird. I like the deeper pots for leca. I guess because I'm doing the drainage submersion technique. I don't know. I'm probably just being silly. This pot is probably totally fine, but I kept thinking like, I wish it was a little bit taller, but it'll be fine. All right. Now we do have quite a few roots here. Oh, picked up some of the dirt, and I definitely don't want that. Just get that off of there. Okay. What was I saying? It is a pretty big root system. So I'm trying to decide, I don't want to have it all like jumbled up. Did you guys hear that? Okay, let me finish this. I'll explain what that noise was, what just happened there. Alright, so I don't want to put too much leca underneath it just because this is like, that's why I was saying, it's like a lot of roots. I feel like it should be a deeper pot, but it should be fine. Yeah, so that was double-sided tape that I just got stuck to on the chair because I bought these chairs. Well, my parents bought them for me 2 years ago now? Maybe just 1 year ago. Well, I guess it's a year and a half technically ago. And I love them. I've been looking for chairs for my kitchen table for forever. And I was like, this is perfect. This is what I need. And then Theo decided he was going to try to scratch every inch of them like a scratching post. I'm talking the seat, under the seat, the back of the chair, the front of the back of the chair. So I've got double-sided tape on it to stop him from doing it. And I leaned back and got stuck to the chair. That's what just happened there. So, I mean, it's been like this for like over a year. And like every time I try to take it off, like we're usually good for about a week. And then he's back at it. So frustrating. All right. So like I said, this is not going to be enough leca. I don't have any more pre-soaked right now. So what I'm going to do is, since this has been living in water anyway, I'm just going to put this in a cover pot that doesn't have drainage holes and fill it completely up with water while I soak more leca for the next 24 hours. And then I'll add that pre-soaked leca to this. You know what, you guys? Like, I wonder... I'm just sitting here questioning, like, why couldn't I just take dry leca, put it in here, and then just set this whole thing in water like I was just describing and just let it soak its... I don't know, there's probably a reason not to do that. I mean, I've never heard anybody talk about doing it, so maybe nobody's ever thought about it. Comment below if you have. But yeah, I just wanted to start getting this plant done. Like, ideally, I wish I had more pre-soaked leca, but this is what I had because I don't think I was planning originally. I was thinking I wasn't going to put the Rhaphidophora tetrasperma into leca. All right, I'm going to try and get this shifted around a little bit more evenly though, so hopefully the plant, I mean, it's going to just be leaning in here for the interim, but it'll be fine. All right, I think that's pretty good. Like I said, it's just going to sit like that. I will put it in a little cover pot. I think I have one in my office that I can use. And then 24 hours from now, I will top that off with leca, and fingers crossed things will still continue to go well with that. All right, let me grab the 3 plants that need to be repotted. I don't know if we're going to do them all today. Maybe we'll do one today, and yeah, let me just go get them first to show you. Okay guys, I actually decided we're not going to repot these today because I didn't remember that I watered these probably only 3 days ago. They're like pretty freaking wet, so I kind of want to wait till they dry out a little bit more so that I can water them again like right after I repot them. But these are 3 plants that were cuttings that were given to me by one of you guys a little over a year ago. One of you that lives in Hawaii sent me a bunch of cuttings. Thank you again for that. And well, here's a nice update for you on how these ones are doing. So let's start with this one. So this is the philodendron lemon lime that I was sent. And you can see the original leaves down here, nice and big. This was only, I don't even remember. I feel like there was only 4, maybe 5 cuttings for this one and the one that we're gonna look at next. And then for the Syndapsis over here, I think it was only 3. Yeah, it looks like it was only 3 cuttings. But yeah, so this sat for a good long time with just these big leaves from the original cuttings. But as you can see, it has started to put out all of this new growth up here. It is coming in tiny. This is not uncommon, by the way. If you're gonna have a philodendron that you're gonna let trail like this, like my micans, when it fills itself in, they come in tiny like this, it grows, they get bigger. It's just kind of how it does. But also I've had these living up in one of the arched windows in my office, which is a north-facing window. So it hasn't been getting a ton of light. I did just the other day decide to move it to behind my couch in my living room. Those are southern-facing windows. The only reason I moved it straight into the window, you guys, because remember, if you're going from like lower light situation to higher light situation, you want to slowly acclimate the plant. You don't want to just throw it in there typically. The only reason that I did that this time is because we are at the point in the year now where the sun is tracking too far north to be coming direct into my southern-facing windows. And my southern-facing windows are like offset in the back of the house. So the light is like blocked a little bit even more when it's not coming in direct. And those are windows that I replaced. So those are the upgraded windows that block more of the harsh light and everything. So I went ahead and just stuck it right in there. It's doing fine. I just wanted to give it a little bit more light to get this growth to grow in a little bit more quickly, size up a little bit more quickly. I will keep an eye out for if I see any kind of paling of the leaves or anything. Just so you know, that's not paling. This is just a new leaf that hasn't hardened off. There is one leaf back here that was trying to die off before I put it in there that looks pale, but beyond that, it's doing really well. So well, in fact, that it is really root bound, which is why it needs to be repotted. So this is actually the least bad out of the 3. You'll see as we go along. You can see those are very orangish roots on this plant compared to what you're going to see on the other 2 we look at. This is, in case you're wondering, this is, you can buy like 4-inch nursery pots like this that come with dome covers. So imagine that this was flipped upside down and sitting on top of this, and it has holes in it already, but I added extra holes to it and flipped it this direction to use as a see-through pot instead of as a lid to a pot like this. So another little handy dandy way you can get yourself a see-through pot. But yes, very root bound. We do have the roots coming through down there in the bottom. But like I said, this one's the least bad off, and it's not really doing anything like wrong. It just, I feel like it needs more light, but the other 2 are doing some things wrong because they are massively like root bound. So let's look at the neon pothos next. So this is, let me take it out of its cover pot. This is Epiprimnum aureum neon. Beautiful plant. This is kind of like the Epiprimnum to the philodendron that we just looked at. Very similar looking plants. This does get slight variegation on the leaves. This is just natural as far as I know and can tell. Like every time I see a neon pothos, it has some of this going on it. Now, the extent to which you're going to see it, that's just going to vary based on condition, the particular plant. But yeah, this plant, once again, been living in a north-facing window as well in my office. It has really started to pump out a bunch of new growth lately. And once again, these leaves are coming in kind of small, but this is not uncommon when it's the first new growth off of like cuttings like that. And once again, it's also in a north-facing window. But really with pothos like this, with epiprimnums, like my marble queen's been in a north-facing window her entire life. Like, what are we at now? Like almost 3 or 4 years now, and huge leaves. She's one of the ones we need to propagate. But yeah, like, so this will size up, no problem, but I'm just happy to see we're finally getting new growth coming in at a more rapid pace. But will you look at this? Look at those roots. And this still isn't as bad as what we're about to look at. I know you're probably thinking it doesn't look that much more root bound than the, I almost said Syndapsis, the philodendron we were just looking at, but it really is. And they're stacked on each other. The roots are stacked more on each other than what we were just looking at. And so I've been having like leaf loss. So because I've seen an uptick in leaf loss, I'm knowing like this one is really not happy being this root bound in here. So that's why we need to repot this one. Now the Syndapsis has really started to kind of take off, and of course is doing a slight runnery type situation on me. But yeah, this one is definitely filled in. This is a Syndapsis Silver Splash. So it's got a little bit more silver to it than, for example, on like my Syndapsis Pictus Exotica or my Argyrius. Same type of plant obviously, but I mean, it gets kind of, I feel like the leaves are kind of in between the size of an Argyrius and a Exotica. It's still a type of Pictus, I think. Pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. Pretty sure it's a Syndapsus pictus though, and then the variety is Silver Splash, but the silverness is like way like more mottled looking, but also more solid. Like there's more silver, there's less spacing between the silver, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But this plant should be looking honestly a little bit darker green than this, which is part of the reason I know that it needs to be repotted, because I think it's just drying out too fast. And so the leaves are getting like a little bit chlorotic in that process, because obviously it's not too much light for it in a north facing window. So, and it's growing fine. Like, I mean, it's actually nice and kind of bushy, but the roots, you guys, look at that. And you can see we've got this big old 3 chunk of root coming through there. I mean, it is so root bound. It needs to be repotted. It is like the worst off out of the 3, and I haven't really lost, I think I've lost like maybe 2 leaves, but not like, I'm losing leaves more frequently on this one, but this one is kind of, like I said, it's getting chlorotic and everything, and that's another sign to me that like something is like awry and it needs to be repotted. Also, if you start to see like growth slow down, like I said, these have been starting to pump out a lot more growth. If that growth suddenly slowed down, I would also be concerned that, you know, it probably needs to be repotted. And honestly, this one kind of is growing. It's losing leaves and it's slowing down. So this one probably actually, the way it's behaving is the most like, I need to be repotted now. This one looks like it's the one that needs to be the most repotted. It's probably about the second worst out of these 2. And then the philodendron probably could stay in there longer, but when I get around to repotting them, I might save it for another video upcoming. Obviously, I'm not going to wait forever. We're going to do it sometime this week. I might do it maybe a members only video. It's time to film another members only video. So maybe we'll do a members only repot and chat. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with these 3 that are really bad off. Now, the other thing is I've got a ton of really large plants, you guys, that need to be repotted. We have not repotted or even checked my regular Monstera, my giant regular Monstera, in a few years. I have a feeling it is pretty root bound. I also have a feeling that the Tenanthe luberciana back there is excessively root bound, and repotting large plants by yourself is not always the funnest thing. I feel like it's going to make for a hilarious type video, so I might do a watch me struggle as I try to repot these giant plants type video just for a good laugh for you guys. But I think that's all we're going to do for today, you guys. At least I got some stuff done. There's just, the list is so long. It's so long, you guys. You're going to get a lot more like planty chore type videos coming up. Let me know down below how you like those videos. I know some of you like it when I just kind of show what I'm doing and put music over it. Some of you, I think, prefer the more chatty style like we did today. Place your vote down below so I know what the majority of the preference is for people, and I will make sure to kind of give you that format going forward. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If so, please be sure to click that like and or subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Aloha!